George Washington, often referred to as the father of his country, was a pivotal figure in the founding of the United States. Born on February 22, 1732, in Westmoreland County, Virginia, Washington's life and legacy have profoundly shaped the nation's history. From his early years as a land surveyor to his leadership in the American Revolution and eventual presidency, Washington's career embodied the ideals of courage, resilience, and selflessness. Washington was born to Augustine and Mary Ball Washington, part of Virginia's landed gentry. After his father's death when George was just 11 years old, his family's fortunes dwindled, and he was raised primarily by his mother. Although he did not attend formal schooling for long, young Washington received a practical education in surveying and mathematics, which would later prove useful in his early career. At age 17, Washington began working as a surveyor, acquiring land in the western frontier, and he quickly gained recognition as a competent and honest professional. His early years also included a brief military stint during the French and Indian War, 1754–1763. As a young officer in the Virginia militia, Washington gained valuable experience, though his leadership was sometimes questioned. His fortitude in adversity, however, earned him respect, and he emerged from the conflict with a reputation that would later help him in the American Revolution. Washington's life during the 1760s and 1770s was marked by growing political awareness and resistance to British policies. As the British government imposed taxes like the Stamp Act and the Townshend Acts on the colonies, Washington became increasingly vocal about the injustices faced by the colonists. His experiences as a landowner and member of Virginia's gentry provided him with a deep understanding of the tension between the colonies and the British Crown. In the 1770s, as colonial unrest escalated, Washington's leadership qualities emerged. He was appointed a delegate to the Continental Congress in 1774, where he joined fellow patriots in opposing British control. His growing influence and reputation as a man of integrity and principles made him an ideal candidate for the role of Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army in 1775, following the outbreak of the American Revolutionary War. Washington's leadership during the American Revolution was defined by his perseverance and strategic acumen, even in the face of severe adversity. Under Washington's command, the Continental Army struggled through harsh winters, insufficient resources, and numerous defeats. However, his ability to inspire troops, maintain morale, and win key victories proved vital. One of his most famous victories occurred in December 1776, with the surprise crossing of the Delaware River and the Battle of Trenton, which reinvigorated the American cause. The war stretched over 8 years, and Washington's leadership was critical in navigating the complex dynamics of alliances, particularly with France, whose military support proved decisive. His leadership at the Siege of Yorktown in 1781, which forced the surrender of British General Cornwallis, effectively ended the war, securing American independence. Washington's success was not merely tactical, but also moral. His insistence on keeping the army united and disciplined was crucial to the Continental Army's survival and eventual victory. After the war, Washington retired to his estate at Mount Vernon, but his leadership was far from over. The Articles of Confederation, the first attempt at governing the new United States, proved weak, and a call for a stronger national government grew louder. In 1787, Washington was unanimously elected President of the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia, where delegates drafted the U.S. Constitution. His steady hand and unifying presence helped guide the process, which culminated in the establishment of a new federal system of government. Despite his desire for peace and retreat from public life, Washington was urged to return to national service. In 1789, he was unanimously elected as the first President of the United States, a position he would hold for 2 terms. Washington's presidency was marked by his commitment to establishing a strong, yet limited national government. He set many precedents for the office, including the formation of a cabinet, the practice of serving no more than 2 terms, and the peaceful transfer of power. Washington's leadership helped stabilize the young republic during its formative years. One of Washington's most significant achievements as president was his handling of foreign policy. The country was still vulnerable, and Washington sought to maintain neutrality in the conflict between Britain and France. The French Revolution and subsequent wars in Europe tested the United States' diplomatic resolve. Washington's decision to avoid entangling alliances in his famous Neutrality Proclamation of 1793 helped ensure the survival of the fledgling republic. His domestic policy focused on strengthening the economy, particularly through the establishment of a national bank, as championed by his Treasury Secretary, Alexander Hamilton. Despite his efforts to avoid partisan politics, Washington's 2 terms saw the emergence of political factions, particularly between Hamilton's Federalists and Thomas Jefferson's Democratic Republicans. Although he was personally opposed to political parties, Washington navigated these divisions with care, always prioritizing the nation's interests over personal allegiances. Washington's leadership was so deeply ingrained in the national psyche that when he stepped down from the presidency in 1797, it set a precedent for future leaders. In his farewell address, Washington urged the nation to avoid political parties and foreign entanglements. His retirement to Mount Vernon was peaceful but not long-lasting. He remained involved in public life and was called upon again to help with the new country's military and political challenges. George Washington died on December 14, 1799, at the age of 67. His passing marked the end of an era in American history, but his legacy lived on. Washington's contributions to the formation of the United States were unparalleled. His leadership during the Revolution, his role in the creation of the Constitution, and his guidance as the first president set the tone for all future leaders. Washington's life has become emblematic of the American ideals of freedom, democracy, and civic virtue. His commitment to public service, his devotion to the American cause, and his desire to create a nation based on principles of equality and justice have earned him a revered place in history. Today, Washington stands as an enduring symbol of the nation he helped to build, and his legacy continues to inspire generations of Americans.